What's up to Lion Talk Live? So we love you too, buddy.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
I love nothing more than watching Lions Talk Live every morning. Woo!
Woo!
All right, well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host, once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for joining us here this morning a little bit early with Lions Talk Live Morning Show Edition. And yes, we all get it. The Lions have got a road in front of them to make the playoffs. The Bears, hey, pulled off a big win last night. But while I don't always like covering either as a coach or a journalist, whatever the heck I am on YouTube, stuff like we're going to talk about today, it is fair to bring it up at this point in the year with the playoffs hanging in the balance. And let's face it, the Lions have got to claw their way out from the ashes into the playoffs by more than likely winning all but one of the remaining 5 games. If they win all 5, they're definitely in the playoffs. If they lose more than one, they're probably not in the playoffs. Which is anytime you're a coach, a front office executive, whatever it is in professional sports, you are consistently in the line of fire. Any choice you make, any decision you make, people are going to analyze it, beat you up right, wrong, or center with it. When you win, it was the right decision. When you lose, probably not a good decision. So we're going to talk about that. I do have to make it a quicker show today because I've got some coaching duties this morning. Most of you understand the weather, at least where I'm at, Michigan, isn't the greatest and it's going to get worse. So I've got to get out and give myself a little extra time to get where I'm going. All that done, set out of the way, we're going to be talking about, just jumping into it right away, Brad Holmes, the decisions he made or did not make since last spring when we went into free agency and then the NFL draft, then into the trade deadline. That's basically the focus of today's show. You'll go over the Lions roster and everything with this organization the past half decade with MCDC, with Brad Holmes. I think we all agree it's been pretty good. This year, though, my thoughts as a coach or somebody who's worked in front offices before, it's easier to turn something around and get good than it is to be good and remain good or even become great. Let's look at this Lions roster and say, what could Brad Holmes have done differently? Probably most of you are going to say the biggest Achilles heels out there are going to be the offensive line and defensive line when regarding pass rush this year. I can't imagine there'd be a whole lot else for us to analyze and dissect with this team. You know, the running back position, I think we all agree is pretty good. The wide receiver position is pretty good. You can go on from there. So what could Brad Holmes have done differently with the offensive line? Frank Ragnow retiring, even though I get it, he's coming back, but he's missed the entire season so far. Left a big, massive hole in that offensive line. And we all understand, I don't care how strong your knowledge is of football, you don't even have to know coaching. If you can't open holes for a running back and you can't protect your quarterback, you're probably not doing too well on offense for at any level of football. So what should have Brad Holmes done differently? I want to go back to the NFL draft, if you guys will let me. Let me bring this up on your screen. And I'm not saying I've got a great idea what you could have done, what they should have done, but let's go to that because that's probably where this all began. There's no way you were going up in the draft exponentially to get some of these guys you now see on your screen. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you guys. Let me see if I can get those comments off the screen for you just to make it a little bit more legible. But let's also be fair. We talked about during the draft, the Lions potentially trading up somewhere to get to maybe into the middle of the first round, try to acquire somebody. Let's assume that somewhere is going to begin around pick number 12. Obviously, offensive guard, from Alabama, Tyler Booker. Could he have been a possibility for the Detroit Lions to take away from the Dallas Cowboys? We all get it. Dallas Cowboys like to make some trades. Jerry Jones is never shy about it. It is a possibility. would have been massively better than what we got with Tate Ratledge? I'll leave that to your devices and comments in the section. So if you guys want to throw a thought on that, please, by all means, go after him. Jalen Walker, the linebacker out of Georgia, does rush the quarterback a little bit. Should we have gone and get him to improve the pass rush? How about Shamir Stewart from who went to the Bengals at pick 17? Now that you're getting around 20, I do think the Lions had enough ammunition to go get him. Would he have made an impact in your humble opinion? How about Greg Zabel, who's over in Seattle, the offensive lineman / guard, etc.? Do you think he would have been the better choice? Even though I don't like second-guessing anybody, anytime you struggle to win, that is exactly what's going to happen in the world of pro sports. Ohio State offensive lineman Donovan Jackson went just a couple spots in front of us. You could say that, maybe that's not a big question, but I'll throw it out to you anyways. The one that I know a lot of us were jumping on prior to the draft, and it does sound like the Lions tried to make a move per Brad Holmes to move a few spots up and get somebody. While he's been nondescriptive who that somebody is, a lot of people have speculated it was James Pierce Jr. I know a bunch of you threw that out there prior to the draft. I think even to their draft, we want to go after him. So let me now bring this on the screen for you while analyzing to see if we could get him. All right, let me do this, that, the other thing. All right, there we go. All right, here we go. And let me bring this on the screen. I'd like the kid. I think most of you did like the kid, but also let's be fair when analyzing him. In his NFL career so far, it's always hard to judge a rookie, right? I mean, they can change so much between year 1 and year 2, let alone year 3. In his first game against the Saints, he had 1.5 sacks. Then he had a sack against Panthers and then one against the Colts. Not too bad. Since week 3, he's had half a sack. Is it just other teams have schemed him out? Has he been beat up? That I can't tell you a ton. I can tell you the Saints aren't good. The Panthers weren't great at the start of the year. The Colts were pretty legitimate as they have been all year long. So getting a sack on them, probably not a bad thing. And then against the Vikings 2 weeks ago, he did get half a sack. Would that have been the answer for the Detroit Lions? Beyond that, I don't think Malik Starks, the safety for the Baltimore Ravens, who went in between us and James Pierce's selection for the Atlanta Falcons, would have made a huge difference. Although maybe you guys have a different opinion. So that's the draft. What could you have done in free agency to change the team? I'm going to guess most of us would say the big impact would have been the trade deadline. Now, with that being said, there were some speculations the Lions tried to acquire an offensive lineman from the New Orleans Saints. We don't know who. It hasn't come out yet, just that both teams couldn't come to a certain agreement. We also know per Taylor Decker, I'm sure most of you guys have seen this video. It came out after the Thanksgiving Day game. Taylor Decker talked to reporters and said he's been in conversations with Frank Ragnow for, quote, about a month about him returning. And yes, we all get it. The day before the Thanksgiving Day game, it was confirmed Frank Ragnow coming back out of retirement. I don't know if he's going to play against the Cowboys, although if he is able to go, that's probably a win. Decker, when asked about Frank Ragnow returning, did say that, hey, been talking to him for about a month. He's been aware for about a month he's going to come back. Clearly, he's been preparing to come back for at least that amount of time, maybe a little bit longer, which a lot of you guys have asked, could that have impacted the Lions going to the trade deadline? Well, if you knew Ragnow was coming back for about a month, you knew before the trade deadline, so perhaps that changed things, at least in the Lions' urgency. And then it just became a question of when could he return, when could he come back, all that going into it. Howie Roseman, I know everybody on planet Earth is going to talk about this dude makes trades left, right, and center. But as you can also probably be aware of right now, Philadelphia Eagles are struggling. And it's not their defense that's struggling, it's their offense. They didn't really acquire anybody. The Lions shut them down offensively. Didn't win the game because the Lions offense wasn't good that game. And then you guys all know it. They got to a 21-point lead against the Dallas Cowboys, blew that lead, and now the Chicago Bears have jumped up and bit them too. So as great as Howie Roseman has been, and everybody wants to applaud him for the trades, I think the guy's a great GM. It doesn't mean that you always win every game. You get it. That's the difficulty, I guess I should say, with all this. What would you have done differently this offseason to help prepare the Lions to do better? Brad Holmes is going to face a lot of tough questions going into this offseason if the Lions don't make the playoffs and make a deep run. The Lions have a lot of talent, perhaps one of the more talented. I'm not going to say they're the most talented team in the NFL, but what should they have done differently? A lot of people are going to bring up the multiple third-round pick trade for Isaac Tesla. What could you have done with those picks? Could you have acquired some other pieces? Another offensive lineman, another pass rusher? I don't know. I guess at this point you can say another tight end, right? It's easy to look back in time and say what we should have done. And anytime you don't win and make the playoffs, that is exactly what's going to happen. It is the nature of the beast. This is a results-based business. And if your results aren't here, you don't want to be here, you want to be down there, so those draft picks become worth even more. I was talking with Anthony, I think maybe about a half hour before I went on air on social media or whatever, talking to him about it. I still think the Lions can make the playoffs. Obviously, if they win some games here, that would help exponentially. I don't know if you're going to catch the Packers or the Bears, but the purpose of today's show is what could have Brad Holmes done differently? And again, anybody just joining, I can't stick around very long today. I've got about 10 more minutes, then I got to get out of here. Brad Holmes, in my opinion, I've said this a lot of times over the past few years, I'm vastly different when it comes to being a GM than Brad Holmes. I would have said skip the picks last year, and I probably would have doubled down on it this year. Me, myself, and I probably would have traded some first-round picks and got somebody to be on the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson. To me, that probably would have been priority number one. Priority number two, as soon as Ragnow retired, I would have said skip some picks. We're going out and at least getting a replacement for Frank Ragnow. And yes, at that point, would have had no idea if he was going to return or not. My opinion does not need to be your opinion. Brad Holmes has failed this organization by being Dollar General Brad. I like Brad Holmes. I think he's an excellent identifier of talent, drafts incredibly well. No, he doesn't hit on every pick, but the guy couldn't be any cheaper when it comes to those draft picks and trying to help out the here and now. Look at the Rams. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to use these two as case studies going forward to present my argument to you guys, the viewers. My opinion is the more you're successful, the less value there is on those picks because they become later and later round picks. I understand you want to keep them. I can't understand you want to keep drafting and developing guys. I also understand the hard reality of sports is simply this. Every season that goes by, those draft picks of yours, the guys playing on that field become depreciating commodities. They have less time left on the field, less tread on those tires. Aiden Hutchinson, when he leaves this season, has already superseded the average lifespan of an NFL player. Jared Goff is way beyond it because, he's 30, 31 years old now. Gibbs, you guys see it with Saquon Barkley. There's no guarantee those wheels keep running next year. Once you start losing speed, especially as someone who makes their living as an explosive running back, you're one hit away from something happening to that tread on the tire, something happened to that ankle that gravely changes the speed. Dave Montgomery, in my opinion, has a better projection lifespan in the NFL than a Gibbs because he does not rely on speed. He relies on power. Same with Derrick Henry. You look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the greatest wide receivers in the NFL, but a hand injury and now an ankle injury is going to derail that. I don't think it's going to impact him long term, but you know what? It doesn't have to impact him long term. His value is already starting to shift to plateauing, and what happens when you stop plateauing? You start going down. Unlike the NBA, unlike Major League Baseball, unlike the NHL, or whatever else you want to throw out there, my opinion is this on NFL rosters. They age fast because the wear on the body, the beat downs they take, most players, you guys get it, last 4 years in this league and then they're out of here, or at least gravely diminished returns on what they can produce. So with that being said, the Lions are in a Super Bowl window. In my opinion, last year, I would have began saying I'm doubling down on the investment of these players for that window this year, and I would have done this year as well. Next year, I think, is the real big moment for the Lions. If you can acquire some big help on the defense and offensive line, this is an elite team. There's not going to be many teams like it in the NFL. We all see Jameson Williams is emerging. Yes, he had a bad game prior to the Packers game. He didn't have any catches, had 2 drops. But you can see he is growing and developing. I would counter that argument that's saying, yeah, he had a 2 drops, no-show performance. The week prior, was saying this is also 3 out of the last 4 games. He's made a major impact, and you can see his route structure growing, his confidence growing as a wide receiver. St. Brown, I think just because the way he plays, plus his mentality, he's going to be good for several more years. Laporta, assuming all reports are with the tight end that his back surgery has been fine, he's going to be good for a few more years at the least. Hutchinson, I think personally, he started out great this season, and now he's running into a little bit of fatigue. I get it, man. He's probably, with that lower leg injury, he's probably a little tired at this point. He plays one heck of a massive amount of snaps, but the Lions don't really have anybody else to get to the quarterback. If they can pair him up with one or two more people on that D-line, in this offseason going forward, I think he can have a just absolutely monster next couple of seasons. The offensive line, we all understand Taylor Decker is getting up there. I'm not even going to worry about Graham Glasgow. I think he's going to get replaced this offseason. Penei Sewell, while he's been somewhat impacted by injuries, he's still one of the best offensive linemen, one of the best players in the NFL, and I don't think that's changing in the foreseeable future. Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, you get it with Kirby Joseph. He may absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, be a game changer at single high safety coverage. But if you don't have wheels, knees, and ankles, it's not going to impact the field. I believe he will recover from the PCL injury, but what have I been talking about? Depreciating returns on these investments. These picks, once they get the second contract, that's why a lot of teams are sometimes skittish about giving players second contracts. It's not that the guys don't go out there and play hard, but all those hits you got in year 1, year 2, year 3, they accumulate. Some of you guys are going to be old enough in life to understand this. Some of you maybe not. What I can say is, just my opinion, doesn't have to be your opinion. Like the human body, like most things in life, once you start taking hits on that body, once you start having a problem here and there, or as the wife would say, issues with the hip, you don't stand right, you don't balance your stuff right, you guys get it. It accumulates over time, and it's hard to get it back, if you ever get it back. What I would say is for all Lions fans, and man, every day I get blown up by stuff, especially during the Bears game, or the Bears are winning. You can't control what the Bears do, what the Packers do, anybody else out there. Focus on what you can do. Brad Holmes should face a lot of tough questions if the Lions don't make the postseason. I personally think he is a very conservative person. That does not need to be your opinion. He is drafted exponentially well. He has turned around this franchise. But with that also being said, it's fair to say, not this past draft. I like Tyreek Williams. I like Ratledge. I like a lot of the guys they took this year. Could you argue that you overpaid for Tesla? Maybe. But I can also say, if you didn't make that move, he would be on another NFL roster. The counter argument to that is, I'm sure everybody in the Duke Crew is going to be able to say, is if you didn't go for Tesla, you probably could have added 2 or 3 other pieces. And the question would then be, would those pieces be more impactful? Now, with St. Brown going down last game, I think we all agree Tesla finally got an opportunity to shine, and he did not do bad. He pulled some coverage. He got open. Jameson Williams, I don't know if you guys are aware, he drew the coverage away from Tesla. He drew, I think, 3 guys with him in the end zone to open up Tesla. I mean, all this kid does is catch touchdowns. I think he's going to be pretty good going forward, but there's always going to be the counter argument. Could you have done more with those picks, investing in other people? I don't know. I think he's going to be pretty dang good. With that also being said, some of the other guys, Miles Frazier, we'll don't know until he gets on the field. Giovanni Manu, probably a lot of you are going to say, man, that was a wasted draft pick. I don't know until he gets more on the field. What I do know is, from my eyes, I can tell you he's grown a whole lot from the moment you draft him to what you've seen last time on the field. Hendon Hooker, didn't hit. Simple as that. You're not going to hit on every draft pick. But should Brad Holmes have invested some stuff in free agency to help safeguard this team, even if you didn't go out and draft this person, that person, or whatever, make that trade to acquire somebody? My answer is yes. They had to have some kind of idea that Frank Ragnow was going to retire. And if Frank Ragnow didn't let him know he was at least somewhat considering it, that's on Frank Ragnow. I did say after the NFL draft, when he announced it, that's pretty bad timing. Now, there have been some reports that have come out and said Ragnow informed the franchise. I have not been able to confirm that from anybody, but he informed the franchise he was at least considering it. The Ratledge pick, the Frazier pick, I'm guessing that's 1, you knew you had to replace Zeitler. 2, you were trying to develop some depth there. But if they had any kind of idea that Frank Ragnow was going to retire, they should have addressed it more, in my opinion. The pass rush, we all get it. We've been talking about it for, I don't know, 2-3 years. The Lions need somebody. I like Liam the Dream McNeil at the end. A lot of different reasons. Is he going to get to a quarterback in, say, 1.5 seconds, 1.7 seconds? Probably not, but he does push the pocket. I do give him a lot of credit for what he's doing. All right, I've made the argument for you guys. I could ramble on this all day long. I could probably overanalyze things, but unfortunately, I got about 3 minutes and I got to get out of here because I have coaching stuff this morning, and I've got a way to go before I get there while dealing with some weather. So let me get through as much of the comment section as I can. Michael, greetings, salutations, Coach Dan and Duke Crew, exclamation point, one pride, woo, back at you. Henry Moore, good morning, Coach Dan and Duke Crew, what a team, what a podcast, exclamation point, what a time to be a Lions fan, woo. All right, don't need to read this one. Michael, in my opinion, Brad Holmes failed us. We were expecting the Lions to do so much better this season. I agree. Now, we can say, hey, yeah, you had to replace 2 coordinators. You can say the ball didn't go your way. Let's be fair to the last game. If that call in the end zone on the first touchdown on 4th down goes against the Packers, you take away 7 points. Lions, I think, probably win the game. You can also call that if they called the what do you call it, false start instead of the timeout, maybe the Lions win the game. So many of the Lions' losses this year have come down to nanosecond determinations by the Lions, by officials. I'm not going to blame the officials. You put yourself in a position where that play impacts the game is what it is. But I would also say in the NFC, I'll throw this out there. There's a whole lot of balance at the top, not a whole lot at the bottom. You're either good or you're bad this year. Let's see, Eddie, and see, morning, Duco. I still believe in our team, players and coaches. I don't quit on the team. I like the way you're thinking, my friend. Johnny, good morning, folks. Henry Moore, good morning, Johnny L. Johnny L, good morning, Henry. Jess, I'm not a golf slappy, but I don't feel like the O-line has been very good this season. Because of that, I hate to say this, but golf is not our biggest problem. Brad needs to address that last week. Yeah, I'll go with that. Oh, good morning, Duke Crew. Thanks for the memories and the things we left behind. Woo! Hey, well said, my friend. Susan Scott, it's easy to always look back and second guess. Just win the next month and get in the playoffs. Yes, indeed. Well said. Said like a coach. Johnny L., I don't know what to think about this. We're going to hear about it. If the Lions lose 2 more games, we're going to hear about all this a ton, but it's the nature of sports, right? Anymore, I'm there with you, Susan. Drake, 0 pass rush this year. Hutch needs help. Offensive line has mostly been straight trash, homie. All right, I'll go with that. I knew where you were going with that, the Randy Moss thing. But if they get some help out there for Hutch, I think you make Hutch better. I think you make that person better. See what happens this offseason. Anymore, they might have let let others poach too much from us. Possibly, yes. Trey, what's going to be? Question mark. Every game this year has been winnable. Just about every game has been losable. Yeah, I think you're probably right on a lot of those games. Steve, good morning, coach and crew. I am a Lions fan and keeping the faith. I remember those 9-7 New York Giants teams that won Super Bowls. We can do this! Exclamation point! Woo! Yeah, I agree. You get in the playoffs, you get hot. You'll be all right. Just screening salutations, Duke Crew, Coach Dan. Who do we blame more game? Okay. Holmes, Campbell, Ragnall, Morton, Shepard. I'll go with Campbell for 1,000, Alex. He's going to face some music. We all get it. In the past couple years, they've gone for all these 4th downs. They've completed a lot of them, turned things over. I know a number of you after the Packers game messaged me about he blew that game. He blew the 49ers game to go to the Super Bowl. When things don't work, you're in the line of fire from everybody. Xavier, good morning, Coach Dan and Duke Crew. Hope everyone enjoys. I will enjoy today for sure. And more, it comes down to one thing. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance. I'm down with that. That's a lot of P's. Trim Reaper, good morning, Coach Dan and the mighty Duke Crew. Exclamation point. Let's go, Lions. Woo! Good to see you. Dave, if we make the playoffs, considering the changes to the OC and DC, the injuries, and the players lost, I'll consider that a huge dub for the season. I think a lot of people would. Maybe not everybody, but I know a lot of people in the national media would say, man, if you made the playoffs with your current environment, what you went through in the offseason, you're probably right about that. Johnny, even though it looks pretty bleak, we can still push this off. We can get to the playoffs. Anymore, they should not have made Morton a OC. Maybe. Benjamin Brewer, talk about something I haven't seen in a minute. I was found a season, offensive line, injuries, coaching decisions, lack of front office, Hushpot, that's it in a nutshell. Could be accurate, but good to see you, man. It's been a hot second. Anymore, Johnny L. We'll need a little help from our friends. Probably accurate. And let's see, Franz Ferdinand, Hutch should be traded this offseason, in your opinion. Waste of talent and money if we can't get that guy some help on the line. Yeah, I don't know if they could trade him. I mean, it's possible, though, right? Michael Benjamin Brewer, I totally agree. Exclamation point. Hookadoo, good morning, Duke Crew. One pride. Did Brad Holmes tank the Lions? It was more of a team effort. One thing that did arrogate me about him was he didn't do enough to get Hutch help on the edge. I think we all agree with that. I think the Lions, if they could have more pass rush, would be good. Steve, can we beat Dallas? Yes, we can beat them for sure. They can beat us for sure. Trim Reaper, so you're saying there's a chance. Always a chance. Aggravate. There you go. I was wondering about that, Hookadoo. Let's see, Pat, what do you got? Good morning, all. Back at you, Michael. Like I said, Brad Holmes failed in so many ways. His arrogance and ego got in his way. Maybe possible. Pat, I'm just here to see if the panic can fire this person, that person talk. Haha. We'll find out. Any more, Hookadoo? Good morning. Absolutely. And we had one by we didn't keep him. Okay, Tori Apple. Think Brad could have done a lot more to help the coaches, players this season. It's all going to be under review for sure. Pat, let's hear about how Howie Roseman for the Eagles is again. Ooh, there you go. James, is Frank Ragnow still coming back? Yes. Reports are he got back into Detroit yesterday. How quickly he returns? Man, that's a good question. Xavier, during offseason, exclamation point. Henry, good morning. Tori Apple. Oh, Hookadoo. Henry, I was upset when he let Z go. Yeah, maybe he knew that he was going to retire. I mean, who knows, man, right, Hookadoo? Stephanie, good morning, boys. Exclamation point. Still working. Please stay home. And if you do not need to head out today, go do crew. Back at you. Hopefully having a safe day at work. Benjamin, right on, Michael. I've been a fan since 53. This was potentially one of the best teams ever. Totally mismatched. Henry Moore, good morning. Stephanie. Pat, where are all the Eagles? Good morning. Love this morning. We'll find out. Virgil Rose, thanks for all you do, Stephanie. Bo, now for something completely different, Sean Connery or Daniel Craig. Hoo-ah, I'll go with that. For me, probably, I like Sean Connery. I really like the Daniel Craig version of Bond. Playoff, says Trim Reaper. Let's see, Toledo's going to get hit tonight, Stephanie. I don't know if she works that far, but maybe. But enjoy it and stay safe. But with Bears in first, wow, yes, indeed. Let's see, he did what he got. Bears legit. We aren't. Ouch, okay. Dunk on. Mock draft will be coming in about 2 months, or maybe a little less than that. I don't know. Hi, Roseman is the man. Brad Holmes got Phillips and Zadarius Smith. Yeah, they should have got Zadarius. Yeah, I see what you're doing there. Johnny, this isn't fun. Well, let's hopefully we can turn around. Any more, Stephanie? Keep the shining side up and the rubber side down, my friend. Stay safe. How about that? Stay safe. Anthony, good morning. Dooku, back at you. All right, guys, I'm out of time. I got to get showered. I got to get changed. I got drive-aways, all that kind of stuff. Do some morning coaching stuff. Hey, maybe later today I might have a second video for you, but we'll wait and see. I know we're all upset. I know we all want to be in the playoffs. I know we can still get to the playoffs. So keep the faith. We're all going to have plenty of time to revise everything and get back to, opinions on it. I just wanted to try to present some. A lot of you guys have been lighting me up about Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, and stuff like that. So, hey, make your own opinions on it. I would have been a lot more aggressive as a GM investing in the talent we have now. But with that also being said, remember this. The Rams, when they went all in on the picks, they nearly didn't make the Super Bowl. Multiple different reasons. Not going to break that all down. So it is what it is. They made it to the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl. It worked. If you repeated it with the Lions and you didn't make the Super Bowl and now you took away all those picks, we'd all have the opinion that, hey, that was the stupidest move ever. So I can have my opinion of what I would have done. But if I don't win the Super Bowl, everybody in this chat and every other chat would have been on me. So, all right, hey, it's going to be some bad weather, at least roughly where I'm at. So stay safe. Do something kind for somebody you don't know. Be a good human being. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit all the buttons. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay warm, by the way. Have a delicious Mountain Dew. And we'll see you all on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody. Have a phenomenal day. You're still here? What are you doing here? It's over. The show's over. Go home.